Bloggos, POW! So first off, here's Gradius III. This was my main motivation to buy a Super Nintendo. Massive Gradius / Nemesis fan at the time, so had to get a Super Nintendo just to play this on. Wasn't available in the UK, so I went for an import copy. As you see, very nice manual. It's worn the test of time, this copy. It's well thumbed. The manual's a little bent up, but you know, I have had it since 1992. So it's a very nice little memento from the past. Well, Gradius III not only was one of the first games I bought for the Super Nintendo, it was also one of the first games released for the Super Nintendo. As far as I remember, Super Mario World, Final Fight and Gradius III were the launch games in Japan, I believe. Maybe the Pilot Wings, I can't remember. But obviously my main motivation for buying a Super Nintendo. It is very jerky at times. It does slow down when there's a lot going on the screen. It really does affect the gameplay in some places, leading to some unnecessary deaths. Overall it looks fairly competent. It's not quite the same as the arcade game. Some bits are different, some of the bosses are different, some of the levels are slightly different. The music's all there, which is fantastic Konami music. It's just a really good, fun Gradius game. If you can get past the slowdown and stick with it, it's a really great shooter. There's lots of weapons in there. There's your standard sort of like 4 selections of weapons that you've had in the Gradius series since Gradius II, and also a weapon edit system as well, so you can select different missiles or doubles or different lasers, different formations of options and different shields, one of which is almost game breaking reduce. It makes the game so much easier for you. You've got this reduced shield which massively reduces your hitbox. The bosses here in Gradius III are really good. Standard variations of Destroy the Core, with some more biological things thrown in as well as a large fire dragon, which is a bit like the one from level 3 of Salamander. Gradius III is easily obtainable these days. It's still not too expensive. You can get it in Japanese or US flavours. So worth picking up. If you've got yourself a Super Nintendo or Super Famicom, do yourself a favour and grab this one. It's great. Right, next up, Super Airless, or Lester as it's supposed to be called. I've always called it Airless. I had a UK version of this first off, but when the option to buy a Japanese copy a while back came up, I bought it. Nice cover art. I do like that cover art. Nice full colour booklets. Yeah, I really do like that picture on the front there. That's a really great picture. I mean, the UK box art's not bad, but I really do prefer the Japanese box art. You Americans watching will know that is a Space Megaforce. Of course, on any region you buy it, it commands a fair old price these days. So, Super NES made by Compile. It's a continuation of the other NES games, originating on the MSX through to the Master System. You can also see bits of blazing lasers, stroke gunhead in this. The weapon systems are very similar, and it plays very much like Gunhead does as well. The levels are really low on this, almost to the point of boredom sometimes. Don't get me wrong, it's a great game, but the levels are sometimes tiresomely long. You're not going to be able to have a quick go on this, you know, just before you go to, I don't know, the doctors or down the shops. There's some cool bosses in here. Some of them are pretty cool, like this massive guy with his giant spinning ball. There's a few smaller bosses as well, and what's really cool is the second level. It's a big Mode 7 space station-y thing, which you end up is the boss of the whole level as well, so that's pretty cool. It's a good game, lots of great music, fast, very fast, and playable. So the only downside is the length of those levels. Well, as for picking it up, yeah, grab it. PAL copies can still be had for around about £30 loose. Boxed ones you're looking about 100 at the moment at the time of recording. However, if you were after a US copy of Space Megaforce, it's just going for mental money at the moment. So yeah, grab it if you can at a decent price. This is R-Type 3, the third Lightning. Again, I had a UK copy of this, but sold it when I found a reasonably priced Japanese boxed copy, but again with superior artwork. Lovely box artwork, really nice manual there with lots of great pictures. Nice detail on the back of the different R9 variants you use during the game. Of course, that cover artwork on the cartridge is brilliant again. So definitely worth having in your collection if you can find it these days. Price of it is going up. R-Type 3 is the fourth R-Type game produced by IRAM. Ironically, the third one actually being R-Type Leo, not R-Type 3. That's a different story altogether. First R-Type game released specifically for a console, and it ups the ante from the rather boring R-Type 2. or Super R-Type as it was on the Super Nintendo, by introducing some more. The graphics are a lot more colourful, it uses the system a lot more, there's Mode 7 scaling in there. R-Type 3 gives you 3 R-Type ships to play with, each with different force pods and different weapons. Yeah, it was the sign of things to come when in R-Type Delta you had ultimately 3 ships and unlockable, and then in R-Type Final they had something stupid like 1 billion ships to play with. It is R-Type core gameplay, which means it's a memory test. You've got to be in certain places at certain times on some of the levels, which can be frustrating, especially on some of the later levels. The bosses are excellent in this game. Some of them are a bit long-winded, but whereas Gradius 3 has a version of the Mekon sitting on the toilet telling people he's drunk, the end boss on R-Type 3, spoiler alert, is brilliant. It's an interdimensional being which you seal into a dimension, and just when you think you've got it done, it tries to claw its way back out, and you have to sacrifice your force pod to destroy it in the end. Really, really good ending. Should you pick this up? Yes. Again, it's not a cheap game. Loose cartridge is going to put you back the best part of £50. Boxed complete, over 100. Japanese, again loose cartridge, £30 to £40. Box complete, Japanese copy, between 50 and 100. But worth getting if you can pick it up at a decent price, I'd say. And talking of prices going up, here's Metal Warriors, the sort of spiritual successor to Cybernator, straight Assault Suits Vulcan. It's released by Konami, but made by LucasArts. It's an original copy. This is not a repro. I've had this since 2001, and if we flick through the manual here, we'll find, there it is, the receipt. Now the receipt will show you it was bought from CEX in Kingston. Well, it was bought for me by a friend as a birthday present. There we go, £15 for a fully boxed copy of Metal Warriors. You will not get it for that these days. Now just here at the top of the receipt, really hard to see, but you can see the date. Now that's in English order, so it's 11/9/01, and that's the English date order, so that's the 11th of September 2001. It's an inauspicious day to buy a Super Nintendo game, that's for sure. Here's the cartridge itself, so yeah, very clean, very nice, lovely label, completely legit, fantastic. Little did I know it would be one of the rarest Super Nintendo games in existence, well, at least completely unboxed. I do keep this in one of those plastic box protectors. Great little animated intro here, showing the mechs being launched. I do like little cutscenes like that. The game plays a hell of a lot like Cybernator. When I said it's a spiritual sequel, I mean almost all the game mechanics are the same. One of the differences being you can get out of your mech and run around on foot, which is necessary in some of the levels, and comes into play into the two-player mode. Two-player mode pits you head-to-head against another player, where you pick your mech at the beginning, you can get out of it, get into other mechs that are on the stage. It's done like a one-on-one deathmatch sort of thing. Level design on this, to be honest, is a little bland. It isn't quite as nice as Cybernator. The missions, from what I've played, first off are very hard, harder than Cybernator, and not as interesting. The level layout isn't very good. It's a little boring if I'm going to be honest about it. Question is, should you buy it? Well, if you can get it for £15, totally go for it. However, more realistically, you're going to be paying a lot more money than that. At the moment, it's really hard to value. Unboxed copies go routinely for a couple of $100. A boxed copy, when it turns up, well, let's put it this way, I've not seen one. I haven't looked recently. The problem is there's so many reproductions of it floating around, so it's hard to gauge a decent idea of the price. So if you do find it, you know, play it, but don't pay daft money for it. It really isn't worth that. Well, I hope you've enjoyed this little look at some Super Nintendo shooters. What shooters do you like on Super Nintendo? Let me know below. I'll see if I can root them out and cover them in a future episode. Here, subscribe or naff off!